Hi guys, this is Stones. This week we're going to touch onto something that every trader has been through or will go through, and that's when you really think that the market is against you and whatever you do, you can't get a good trade. The ones you don't take play out, and the ones you take don't. The market is trending hardly and it feels really easy, and it should be easy. The reality is that you can't get into a trade that works out, and you have this feeling that everybody is making money. It's just down nonstop or up on the upside, but you just seem to can't make money when everybody is. And this is really painful emotionally. In those times, you have to sit back a little bit and reassess. Don't get caught up in the noise of social media and everybody around you, because there's a lot of people that are going to brag about this massive trade that they're in, but they're not showing the whole picture. I wasn't in that short from the start, and I really struggled to get back in. It was either the drops were in US and I couldn't get those drops, and we had a lot of rounded tops. It was difficult for me to get an entry. And in those times, it's easy to doubt yourself. I've been in a situation where I'm just wondering, am I doing something wrong? Was I just lucky before? Everything I do just doesn't work out. I shouldn't be in this situation. And you might easily get caught up trying to jump into this move late and having FOMO and wanted to catch up. You know, the logic says that 80% of the time price is consolidating and 20% of the time it will range or have those drastic moves. When those happens and you can't get, in my opinion, into the move and you're getting caught up in emotion, I think it's really good to step back, let it pass, don't chase, and reassess and focus on the next trade, the next day, the next week, because it's gonna get back to normal. You're gonna get back into a good rhythm. There's always gonna be another session. It's good to learn from your previous trades, but it's really good as well to just focus on the next one and make sure that next one is good. So let's go back into my trading week and all the mistakes I made and those emotions that I had to face. So that's my TradeZilla account for the month of February. If I look on an R perspective, I'm sort of positive break even. If I put it on a dollar perspective, it's like a bit less than half a risk in loss. So I'd call that break even. There's a fair amount of fees in there. And honestly been changing my size a little bit throughout the week, which I'm not a huge fan of. This one was a Sunday trade. I went half risk, and I usually allow myself to have a 4 hour loss maximum per week. And because by Thursday, Friday, I was really prone to emotions, I didn't want to expose myself too much, and I said to myself, I'm just gonna like 3 hour max will be my max loss for the week, and if I reach that level, I'll just stop there. You can see my trades here, and this is my breakout account. This is my evaluation that I started on 1st of January. We're down 3% so far, and that's those exact same trades that I have on TradeZilla. You really have to pay attention to people, sharing their trades and telling you what they do. I don't think there's many people that are really transparent, and I can show you all the execution. You can check back the times, the dates. These are my results, the fees. So coming into the week, we had a trending weekend, and as you know, I took a few losses last week, and I couldn't get involved in this whole downtrend. I didn't manage to get entries when I wanted. A lot of the time, this was US drop, this was Asia, but right out of the entry. I tried my luck in there, didn't have any. And price kept rolling over during the weekend, and that's when I started to have some frustration. And I'm like, let me get involved in this, because that's all we get, those rounded tops, and we just keep dropping. And this happened quite clearly here. Same on Bitcoin. So I remember checking my phone over here somewhere, and I saw price dropping back below the Sunday open. If I get a good retest, it might be a potential short for this round top and continuation. And believe it or not, I was in the chart when this happened. 3 inverted hammer, really nice entry, beautiful entry in short. A bit more frustration here, where I just felt like I couldn't get a grab of the market. And next retest, I think, okay, this is my entry. I enter here half risk because it's Sunday. I enter a little bit early because I thought it was just going to be a retest and drop. But I have this M forming, it drops, everything looks good, and instead of retesting here and keep dropping, it breaks above and retest. As you can see with those two candles here, it's actually breaking above and retesting, and little consolidation. At this stage, I was really thinking about exiting my trade, and I should have, and I just get stopped. Last week, I've lost around $1,300 on trades that I took on one asset. For example, this re-entry I had here on Bitcoin stopped me out, but this exact same trade here on Ethereum would have not stopped me out. And there's obviously money lost here on Sunday because this trade I take here stops me out on Bitcoin, and on Ethereum it would have not stopped me out. So it's twice, and it's part of that frustration when you think the market is really against you and there's nothing you can do. You're a victim of the market. We all know it is not true, but this is at times and often how it feels. Second frustration is on Monday. I have the dead gap zone that takes this liquidity, doesn't grab here this higher time frame liquidity. Same here on Ethereum, and I really thought this was the target. But we hold bullish, we have a nice retest here, but straight away price fails and retest those EMAs plus this demand that turns into sort of breaker block. It's not a beautiful one, but a retest. And at this point, I'm really tempted to go short with my stop there, target this liquidity. But because it's not an ideal setup and something I usually like to trade, I refrain from taking it, and price goes straight to my target and adds on the frustration. I let Asia develop. I missed this move, and here in UK Open, I see this sharp move down and this W sharp move up that takes previous week low, which is this low. Doesn't quite get the liquidity here, and same in the end on Ethereum, but you got the same pattern, sharp down, W sharp up, and you have this slow consolidation up, exact same here. You have divergence between Bitcoin and Ethereum, confirming that we've got a potential low. I do like the fact that they left that liquidity at the same time, and I'm thinking they might go up for Monday, reverse on Tuesday, and still end up taking that liquidity later. But this pattern here, I recognize an older pattern from April 25 on Bitcoin, which is this one, right? So here I'm on the 4 hour up there. Take that liquidity, you have sharp down, W, sharp up, and you have this slow consolidation. And I recognize this pattern straight away, and I can see here that no liquidity was swept, we just kept holding and then moved up on Monday. And so I see this pattern, UK opens, Bitcoin is retesting those EMAs, and Ethereum is retesting 50% Asia in those EMAs as well. And at this stage, I regret not taking this trade because it was recognition of prior pattern, and I was quite confident after sweeping the previous low of the week. And I look at this trade on Ethereum, and because it's not one of my preferred setup to trade, it's just me recognizing a pattern from the past. I don't have that much confidence. I'm like, this is potentially what's going to happen, but I don't want to get involved. It's too early in the week. I want to maybe see a clean breakout and a retest later on. And then trade played out perfectly in a matter of like 15 minutes. And now I've got even more frustration. I'm really upset. I couldn't get any move on the way down. Made a lot of mistake last week. And then here it's only Monday, and Asia, I was right. Don't take the trade. It works out sharply. And UK, same on Monday. Don't enter the trade. Worked out sharply. So I'm already like 2 potential wins that I did not take. And in Asia, I have this quite clean W of the 50 EMA that is holding Monday Asia high as well. And I sort of have this pattern here, railroad track followed by a hammer. That could be potential really good entry, but I'm patient because we're still in that gap zone, waiting for the gap and Asia open. I've got one hammer, two hammer. I'm like, okay, enter this trade here. Bitcoin, the pattern wasn't as good, but it was all above the EMAs. And I was thinking that they were going to do another sharp move and entice people to go long, on this like sharp reversal. My idea is that my trade is going to push up straight away at open. It doesn't, it fails and moves down. And on lower time frames, I'm like, okay, this is not what I want to see, and I don't want price to go below this point anyway. Move my stop loss up and get stopped here for a fraction of my risk. Then UK comes and sort of have this pattern as well where, okay, now we did sweep those lows. There is a W formation in that consolidation. Maybe we're going to take this move up to Monday high, take Monday high at least before reversing. I wasn't a huge fan of having this trend line here because this is all liquidity sitting below. But on Bitcoin here, similar pattern, nice W, and this was a really good retest at market open. Decided to take it on ETH, even though ETH was below those EMAs when Bitcoin was above. The first sign is exactly the same setup as here. I expect my trade to go straight up, and it doesn't, and next candle it reverses. Exactly the same on Bitcoin, and I'm like, I need to get out of this trade. The thing is, for some reason, I'm a bit hopeful, and I stay a little bit longer in it until I get to full stop loss actually. And what I failed to realize is that realistically, I've got this trend line liquidity. I fail. I have an order block here on the 2-minute, which should get respected. And we break through it and we retest here with this inverted hammer. And that's 1, 2, 3, fourth touch to the trend line. We know that's usually when it breaks and it goes lower. The thing is, I'm not really used to, oh, my long is not playing up, let me flip short. In this case, it was a good idea. But you can't be like, oh, I'm long. It means that the trade is short. Sometimes you just long and there's not a trade short. I'm not used to flip that quick. I should have closed here at least, but I could have entered a short there. But anyway, I took full stop loss on this one. Didn't exit early like I've done on this one. And this was the mistake on this third trade of the week. I wake up for US as usual at 1:30, and I'm expecting short now because I see that price is clearly failing to make new highs and it's rejecting 50% Asia here. And what I want to see is maybe a push up, a sharp move down, and that M retest and down that I like to see. It sort of happened, but not the way I wanted. What I saw was this W reclaiming Asia lows and this bullish railroad track retesting everything. And at this stage, this looks bullish, but I don't want to go long. 3 in the morning. I've been up for an hour and a half. I see something that is bullish and I don't want to go long, and I go to bed right before this reversal. It wasn't like the best entry for me. It was definitely there, but I would have liked better candles. So I'm not saying I would have taken that short. Wake up here at about 6, 7 and everything had dumped down. And again, added to the frustration, like I missed another move in US that happened overnight. And I just can't get, we keep going short and I just can't get one. Next day in Asia, I don't see anything. And in UK, I see some rejection. You have this order block that created the move up that broke all these highs. It should get retested and stay bullish. And because it gets ran through and retested, it's a breaker block. And they honestly give the best entries. I feel like I'm going to get targeted again, and I don't want to enter end of UK. I'm back to work on Thursday, so I'm not waking up for US on Wednesday night. I don't want to have to wake up, and I don't want to take the risk of having a trade open that might just honestly get, respect this order block, tap higher, even take the liquidity, even if it's to go lower. But I don't want to take the risk to be open in the UK extension and US open. And once again, add to the frustration, this trade played out, and I wake up here in the morning and yeah, I'm really, really upset. And that's when I decided that I needed to lower my risk from for the week, my maximum risk from 4R to 3R. I'm very emotional now. I'm very triggered about all this price action, and I just can't seem to get good trades. The drops happen in US and I can't get them. There's already 2 trades that I missed on Monday that would have been winner that I did not take, and then the 2 other ones that I took, I get stopped on them. And Thursday at work, towards the end of the day, and I said I need to only act on A plus setup. So price here on Ethereum retested Monday, 50% of Monday, which is this level here, without taking Monday high, and broke Monday low and retested it with an M, still respecting that 50 EMA on the 15 minute. I'm like, let me just take a short here because this is a high probable setup if we keep dropping, even though we far extended drop wise. And about 10 minutes after, I'm like, this is not, I don't feel comfortable with this trade. I feel like I'm going to get stopped out. I don't want to be in this trade, and this is not the way I want to trade, especially that I was on my phone coming back from work. So instead of exiting my trade, like I already said in previous video, I don't want me to exit the trade. I'll let the market take me out. So what I do is I'll take my stop loss and I'll drag it close to where price is when I want to exit, because I might get lucky and it might just drop. It did happen in the past. And if it doesn't want to drop, it takes me out. What I expect is price to do this M, maybe have a retest and then keep dropping for end of Asia. And exactly when I enter, this price does nothing for the whole rest of Asia and the whole start of UK. And I went to bed about here right before this information as well and retest, and probably would have not entered before US as well, would have not taken real risk. I wake up and price is all the way down there, and now I'm frustrated. I was already frustrated, but I'm even more frustrated. Yeah, anyway. Meanwhile, I have here this daily order block and here this monthly order block that I had alerts on because I think there were high areas of interest for me on the high time frame. So here, this is this monthly order block on Bitcoin, the last one before we had this push up and especially this massive candle, which make it a high area of interest. So I had this alert here on top, which is the daily monthly 50 EMA as well. And Ethereum, I had this zone here as a highly area of interest, which got retested here, but then ran through. And my next one was this consolidation here. So it's that demand zone, and you see those massive 2 candles, high area of interest. And so yeah, I got this marked as well. Price crossed it, and it rings my alert. Towards the end of the day at work, I look at price action, and straight away I see this breaker block takes previous day low, big sweep, breaks back above and retests. Ideal setup. And you can double check, but this pattern of the breaker block did not happen of the whole way down since last week. There's not a point in time where you had a breaker block like this. And I'm not the type of person that's going to take this reversal, this aggressive entry. Even usually the pattern I trade is W, level 1, retest, level 2, or just like one retest like this. I usually on that W, even that second peak, I wouldn't enter there. And this one here was this first peak. But just because of this pattern, and I've seen it many times, and because I didn't enter at the start of the week on patterns that I had a really good gut feeling about, but wasn't respecting my setup. But I do keep seeing it, and I thought this is a great setup. You can just enter on this. Good enough for me to go with my last risk for the week. I decided to enter on Ethereum. By the time I get home, I usually have this 2-hour mark here when if price is still at my entry or in drawdown 2 hours after I have entered the trade, I exit that trade because it should have played out faster. I like my trade when they play out exactly like this. That's why I try to nail my entries. If my entries are good, like, a little bit of drawdown is fine, but it should move aggressively in towards my direction. And at this stage as well, I have Ethereum that retraces a little bit lower than what I thought, and it's below 50% Asia, it's below the EMAs, and I have this gut feeling again that Ethereum was going to take this low while Bitcoin wasn't. And it's exactly what happened. I have that divergence here between the two assets. And I'm in UK extension before US on a Friday, higher risk area, and same thing, instead of closing my trade, I move my stop loss up just below price, and I get stopped up before the extension. So when I come back from training, I have this divergence. Ethereum is still very much valid because this breaker block hasn't been broken neither. We're holding, we're back above, and I get my second chance entry at this trade because my I allowed myself one more risk of $500 on this trade, and I've lost 130. Then on this trade, I only take a $300 risk because this is my limit. So a bit smaller risk on this trade. Played out perfectly. I'm happy at this stage when I go to bed around here about 9 to leave my stop loss where it is over the UK extension and US, because I'm quite confident and I expect that maybe they're going to do a big push and trap people long for the weekend. Bitcoin is very much bullish as well, and it's back above this monthly order block, and Ethereum is as well above that daily order block. So we had the reaction I wanted to see from that area. My first target was this supply here and this Asia and previous Wednesday level. Even though this is an amazing trade and I exited up there, so you'd say you'd nail the exit, the reality of it is a very bad execution and exit. So let me explain. My target was around this level. I didn't set a TP, but it was around this level. And when I wake up, price is all the way up here. And I'm thinking, great, I've got a 3.3 trade, or whatever it was at that candle close. I got a 3.4 trade, great. I didn't go to drawdown. I didn't get any retrace. It went straight up there. But price is looking like this. And now I'm like, it just needs a little bit more and I can recover all my losses for the week. And this is a really bad mindset. You should trade the trade and don't trade your PnL at the end of the week. This trade is independent from all the other trades that I had prior in the week. I work all Saturday, price doesn't move. I've got an alert around here, so if price goes down, maybe I close my trade. And I just got lucky because for 12 hours until the end of my day, price didn't go anywhere. When I saw that here Bitcoin was holding and Ethereum as well, I really thought it was going to be a last push up. And I had this liquidity mark with this fair value gap on Ethereum, and I thought this was a good target. And the thing I did is, because I thought we were going to push higher even more, and I started to be greedy, I had an alert on that liquidity, but I didn't have a take profit order. By the time the alert triggers, I only see it on this candle, so I'll quickly move my stop below this low, and I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I exit where I wanted to exit in the morning. I just took 12-hour extra risk for nothing, and I get that second candle that starts moving up, and I'm like, okay, that's me. I want to get out. I stop my trade. I don't want to risk it anymore, and it's already Saturday afternoon. I want to have my weekend, especially after a big week like this, very stressful and very emotional. I need my Saturday and my Sunday, not looking at charts and not wondering if this trade is going to keep going or if it's going to retrace, and do something like this. You panic, you set at a bit of a profit here, and then price goes back up and you're all angry. I'm all for taking the profits when it's up there. I don't like to hold trades, and I've been holding this one for way too long. So yeah, cut this trade, ends up being a good trade, ends up recovering most of my losses for the week, so finish almost break even. Really happy about this. Terrible week as in emotion and execution wise as well. Then we'll focus on next week and try to execute a bit better, maybe focus more on better trades, have those 2 or 3 trades I am at and not 6 like I did this week. But yeah, Thanks for watching. See you next week.